For those of you who don't know what the success sequence is, it's basically the idea that you grow up, you go to school, you graduate college, you get married, you start a career, you retire, and you die. And that is pretty much what most millennials and people before then were brought up to believe is the best way to live a happy and fulfilling life and be successful, as the name states. But my problem with that idea is it sounds good on paper, but I feel like the current state of things going on in the world, that just doesn't make sense anymore. And you see it everywhere, literally everywhere. You see it in people losing their jobs. You see it in the fact that people can't find jobs. You see it that tech companies are laying people off. And 5 to 10 years ago, IT and computer science were probably the best majors or better majors to go into if you were looking to get a high paying job, and that's just not a thing anymore. And I feel like we are almost at the point where we are literally slaving to get essentials, or to have, we are literally slaving to just merely exist. And when you think about it, you follow through with the process. You go to work for 5 days out of the week and you get your 2 days off, and then next week you do the same thing, and you do that for 20 or 30 years, and then when you're 60, you finally get to enjoy all those years of hard work and go vacation, go live life. But by the time you get to 60, you don't know what medical problems you have. You don't know if you will even make it to 60. It's just, we put all this energy and effort, and it's like we get nothing in return. And it's sad to the point that we work so hard for our car. These three main things. We work so hard for our car, our house, and our kids if you have them. How often do you get to experience and enjoy any of those things? Maybe an hour out of the day with your kids after they come home from school, and then on the weekend, your house, like, you pretty much just sleep in. Who's really at home just kind of like enjoying all the things that they've worked hard for? You probably get to enjoy it for maybe, same thing as the kids, like maybe an hour out of the day, if that. There's a lot of people who go to work and their commute to work itself is just an hour or two, and you add that to every day, that's literally 4 hours out of your day. And I get that you could say, well, find a different job, find somewhere that's closer. That might be true, but I still don't agree with the overall concept, because I feel like a lot of people end up doing that, and they end up getting to be 50 and feeling unfulfilled. I honestly believe that in our lifetimes, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. We are supposed to experience many lifetimes. And I think the whole go to school, pick a career, and stick to that career for 20, 30 years, it's not fulfilling. I feel like you should be able to want to do all of your passions and be able to do it. If you want to be a painter and you want to be a carpenter and you want to work at the movie theater, you should be able to do all of those things and not have to scramble to be able to do them. And I just feel like the way we are taught in school, it's just not, there's really no preparation for actual life, actual things you experience in life. We're taught the seed cycle in first grade or whatever grade you're taught it in, but how many of us actually like know how to grow a plant in its entirety? How many of us now know how to actually take care of plants? Like, these are basic things that we should all know, but we don't. Taxes, another thing. Like, why do we not find out about taxes until we're like in our 20s, after we've made shitty mistakes and have to now dig ourselves out of a hole while we're also paying for student loans and figuring life out as adults? It just seems like a lot of pressure for not really much of a happy end result. And like I said before, like, people don't get to retire until they're 60. What can you really do when you're in your 60s? The majority of people. Think about your family members who are in their 60s. I'm sure there's a lot of healthy 60-year-olds who are still maneuvering like they're in their 30s, but for the majority of people in that age range, 60s to 70s, you're not getting on a plane just exploring whenever you want to. Like, some of them, but the majority, I know plenty of people who have busted their ass at jobs for 20, 30, some even 40 years. And not all of them have pleasant lives. Not all of them are doing so great right now. And it just makes me think, like, we really slave just to exist. And we are made to believe that there's not enough resources for all of us. There's not enough housing for all of us. There's not enough food for all of us. And it just makes me go back to the experiment of them putting mice in like an apartment setting, and when you have to fight for resources, chaos is just always the end result. And we're kind of like mice, just fighting over resources that are really abundant, and we're just made to believe that there's a scarcity in all these aspects. There's a job scarcity. There's a food scarcity. Like I said, there's a housing scarcity. How is it that we're able to build houses at the rates that we're able to build them now, because technology is so much better, and we have fewer houses than we did 10 years ago? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I feel like if more people start asking themselves, does this make sense? It'll just lead to more questions, and it'll lead to people waking up and just seeing things for what they really are. And I feel like a lot of us right now, we're kind of pretending, or like we're all in our own little bubbles, like just trying to focus on us. But it's really going to be a hindrance as a whole. And I get it that you need to cling to whatever little bit of sanity that you can, but just ignoring the problem and sweeping it under the rug is not going to make it go away. And I think that's where we are right now. Is we're in the midst of, this is something that has been swept under the rug for years and years and years and years and years, and now the rug is just a mound. It's a mound, and clearly there's something underneath it. And you know, I don't know where I was going with that rug analogy, but I think you get the point of what I'm saying. And I'm just putting this message out there just to let you know that what you're feeling is very valid, and just remain hopeful. Even when it's hard, even when things are scary, just try to remain hopeful. Thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting. Hope you have a good one.